Hello, today we'll discuss bang for the buck. And there was already quite a lot of bang for the buck on this one. So this is a founder in car series, more car related, and we will talk about what you get for the money that you invest. And of course, the purpose here is that we point you towards cars that give plenty of pleasure for a reasonable amount of money, or little amount of money if possible. So in this current day and age in the Netherlands, car driving has become very expensive, especially if you have a more performance derivative of a car, because we now have a luxury tax known as BPM, which puts additional tax when your car has CO2 coming out of the exhaust, and the more the merrier, so to say. So the more taxes are then put upon you. So that being said, car driving has become very expensive in the Netherlands. The only way around it is to get a car without CO2 exhaust. So an electric car, but electric car on average are quite expensive, and of course in the future this will also change again. But an electric car is without this luxury tax, and therefore you get the best bang for the buck on an electric car. And electric cars are also quite strong, instant torque, and very often a good bang for the buck. But a lot of people cannot pay that amount that is needed to get an electric car. The cheapest electric car with a little bit of range, I think, is the Fiat 500, which comes from, I think, 28,000 euros, something like that. And then you have a very small electric car. My best for the bang for the buck is the car that I'm driving at this moment. A little bit cheaper could also be with the Up GTI, but this is the Swift Sport, and I think it's the best bang for the buck. It has a hybrid system, and therefore it also reduces a little bit of the CO2, and therefore less of the luxury tax. And also Suzuki brings you already a lot of bang for your euros or dollars. So it's a good compromise. And the other thing is that you get 6 years warranty currently with Suzuki, so that makes it a very nice total package. If you compare it to the cheaper Up GTI, has a lot less kit, so if you would spec them the same level, you would not be able to. That's one. And otherwise, if you would spec them the same level or do something aftermarket, you will pay a lot more with the Up. This is a bigger car. Up is the A segment, this is the B segment. And hereby you get a car that has disc brakes all around. Up doesn't have them at the back. And also you have very good sport seats. Up doesn't have that either. Next to the warranty, which is almost 3 times as long as with the Volkswagen dealer. So that's a very good benefit. Another good benefit can be found if you're looking at Dacia. So Dacia is not a car brand that is there for driving pleasure on average, but you get a lot of bang for the buck. And why? Because you get a lot of space and other things, and especially if you are looking for a beater car, a new one, I think you will be hard pressed to find a better deal than with the Dacia dealer. And with Dacia now having access to the turbocharged 1 liter, 1.2 liters of Renault, they also have access to 3 and 4 cylinders with turbos, and turbos are very easy to be tuned. So with a little bit of aftermarket tweaking, so to say, you can optimize this a lot more. And also Dacia have a suspension that is very forgiving, so you can do quite enthusiastic driving on bad roads. So that could be a good compromise. Especially I like the Dacia station wagons, but that's something that you could consider for yourself. Other bang for the buck, a true sports car, I think you will be best off with a Mazda MX-5, but they are getting quite costly. So that would be a good compromise as well. And there's something else, whether they are hard to come by. Caterham Westfield derivatives are very light, so that makes it a lot cheaper to get them if you go to purist type of cars. So even with a 1 liter or 1.2 liter or 1.6 liter or whatever, they will fly. And especially if combined with a modern turbo engine, you have a very good car for a price that is not that driver car. So it's of course not practical, but you get that for a price that is not steep. So those are some of the suggestions that I would really want to make. That being said, if you are an enthusiast driving, you're tight on a budget, look for a car with a few years on its build. They are a lot cheaper. And also you could have performance derivatives of the 90s, the early 2000 cars that are at 1 to 4 or 5,000 euros. You would have plenty of fun if they were well maintained, and that's a very good way to look at. And the things to take into consideration are, for example, the Peugeots 106, Rallye and GTI are very good. Saxo VTS is very good. Suzuki with the earliest Swift Sport, but also the Ignis Sport, which is a real bargain in my opinion. And there are other cars. You can look at turbocharged cars which have a lot of tuning potential. The Golf GTIs of that era, Seat Ibiza. And also look at something like Octavia RS of Skoda. It's also a very good performance bargain, especially bought used. And they are sometimes not as well sought after as compared to, for example, Volkswagens. So those are some things to take into consideration. Also an all-wheel drive type of car can be very pleasant. Early Audi S3 comes into mind, but you can also look at, for example, Leon. They have a Cupra 4, which has a 2.8 liter VR6 engine, which sounds fantastic, and four-wheel drive. Also, if you want something bigger, you could go for the S lines, the S4, for example, from Audi, or the S6. Those are also very capable cars. Volvos are very price stable, so to say. So especially the V series or the station wagons are very sought after. But if you look at, and you don't need the space, you look at the sedan version, you might be able to pick them up a lot cheaper. And the T5 is a peach of an engine, very nice engine. Foundering car, out.